Greetings fellow coin collectors of the 50p variety. Back to the Isle of Man for this video update, but we're back to the older style coins. This tray has the date run of the Isle of Man coins from 1971 up to 1997. It starts off with a series of Viking ships. Every few years the Viking ships change design, and then it got to a certain year and it went on to this particular coin here. This is the technology or the computer coin. So you'll see what I recognize as a computer that I would have used at school. And on the monitor you have the triskelion, the symbol of the Isle of Man, and above it you have Ellen Vannin written in script. Underneath the 50 there is a little AA mark, so again, as with all the Isle of Man coins that were minted by the Popjoy Mint, it's always worth keeping an eye out to see if you can get a die mark that's different to the other die marks. Not too sure what the variety is on these die marks, haven't looked into it too deeply, but stay tuned because there's plenty more to come on die marks. So the coin that's arrived tonight is one of these coins. It's one of the computer ones. And this is a fantastic example of the 1990 coin. So if we pop it over, it's been lightly circulated, I would say, but in really nice condition. And it's exactly the same as the previous one, and it has the little AA die mark. In fact, on that you can see the two A's have a quite pointy tops to them, and they're quite close together. So I'm going to start looking and see if any of these are different. Now it tends to be that you'll only get different die marks whenever they change the dies, and I'll be interested to see how many different die marks there are of these. I'm not sure that there's any. I think possibly they may all be the same, but it's all fun and games. Check these things out, see if we can find one that's different to the other ones. So we have the 1991, and handy enough that was the 1989 one. So we pop the 1991 in there, and there we go. We're starting to make progress on this tray. Really look forward to doing this tray. There's some of the coins are quite rare. In fact, the rarest coin that the Isle of Man ever issued was the 1984 coin. It has an edge inscription on it, and they only minted 150 of them. Never ever seen one come up for sale. It's my dream, of course, that I can be looking on eBay and find one of these coins, and fingers crossed the seller doesn't know what he's selling. My other line of attack for this might be to go to the Isle of Man and see if I can find one in the coin dealerships there. They're few and far between. Most of them are probably sitting in a coin collector's collection and will never be sold, and I don't know if my wallet could take the financial hit of buying one. Speaking of which, if you do consider collecting this series of coins from 1971, the first ones were struck by the Royal Mint, so they don't have any die marks, and you'll see three spaces here: 1972, 73 and 74. So in these 3 years the Popjoy Mint struck 1,000 of each coin. They did the smaller denomination coins as well. They were put into sets and they were sent over to the Isle of Man. And I've read a couple of different things about it, but one of them was Popjoy wanted to get the contract to mint the Isle of Man coins. So each year for 3 years they sent 1,000 of each sets over to the Isle of Man. It kept continuity going as well, because after 1971 they didn't actually strike any coins for circulation as such. So it went from the Royal Mint striking the first coins to the Popjoy Mint striking the further coins. And I did read in my Isle of Man Bible that the Royal Canadian Mint might have had something to do with the first couple of coins that were struck as well. So it's really interesting stuff. We can see all the Viking ships there, different designs. You got one there, different one there, different one there, different one up here, different one here. So when you get into it, they're really interesting. We've even got a nice error one up there from 1976. So it's a really good series to get into. The only downside of it is that if you want to do the complete run, you've really got to pay out a lot of money. And also with these coins in 1979 there was edge inscribed coins released, and you can have the edge writing on the edge of the coin the right way up in relation to the Queen's head, or you can have it upside down, what collectors call inverted. Not only that, the edge inscription, each, because you got 7 sides to the coin, there's 7 different ways the edge inscription can start. So you end up with a plethora of different variables that are possible on the 1979 coin. Of course, they released a 1979 coin with an AA die and an AB die with no edge inscription. So there's quite a few of the 1979 coins to collect. I would urge anybody who's interested in it to go and have a look on eBay or just Google Isle of Man coins 50p edge inscription. Some of the edge inscriptions were centered and some of them were offset. So if you try to collect the offset ones as well, it really bumps up the multiple of variables that are available. Fascinating stuff. The only downside to trying to collect the edge inscription ones, from what I've gathered over looking on eBay for quite a while, is that quite often the pictures on eBay will really let the seller down to a certain extent. You'll find that some of the pictures you can't make out the die mark, never mind make out if it has an edge inscription or not. And quite often the photographs will only show the obverse and reverse of the coin and not the inscription at all. I did email a couple of sellers about the edge inscriptions, and I don't think they were too enthusiastic about taking more pictures and sending them back to me. But if a seller puts up decent pictures, it goes a long way towards selling the coin. So really you want a picture of the obverse, the reverse, and then you want a picture of the edge with the queen's head, because technically the first word would be under the neckline of the queen's head, and you'd be able to read it properly with the queen's head facing up. Turn the coin upside down so you're looking at the reverse side of it, and if the edge inscription is the right way up, then it's an inverted one. But you have 14, 28, 42, 44 varieties to collect, and then if you collect the offset edge inscriptions as well, it goes up to even more. I'll leave you folks to do the maths on that. But there we go, slow but steady progress on this set. I've been concentrating more on the Britannia date run for the last week or so. So there we go, that's the video update for the Isle of Man large 50p. Peace and love, Coin Snatcher out.